League starters. I don't know. It's 7 p.m. I already streamed. I'm a little bit delirious, but you guys subscribed like crazy actually from the last video. Glad that you guys are excited. I promised that I would do daily content. Normally after the stream, I'd be kind of tired and I'd just be like, you know what? I'm going to eat a whole box of spaghetti and watch Netflix and pass out. But I didn't. Just for you. We're making a video. So I just want to recap what I've been doing, what the last video was, and what we're talking about today. Really brief video today. Yesterday, I posted a video talking about starting the search of league starters. I want to document this a lot more thoroughly on YouTube and share with you guys the process of figuring out the league starter, what my rubric is, what I'm kind of measuring against, and what the good and the bad is of the stuff that I'm trying. And this will help you guys explore and learn as well. And it just might be kind of fun for you as well. So if you didn't check out the last video, definitely check that out. I tried out a few different skills that I thought might have potential. They're definitely like not league starters, but they become good with higher investment. But today on stream, I explored an archetype that I know is powerful, but I also know that I don't love. And, long story short, I didn't love it, but it is something that is still very strong. In fact, I discovered a couple things that we might find to be pretty interesting and worth exploring a little bit later on, perhaps not as league starters. Some of these transfigured gems are, wow, definitely underexplored. But yeah, what we started talking about, boom! The thing that I explored today was primarily Stormburst totems, and that was primarily with a Mind Over Matter Hierophant setup. This is a build that has been around for a long time. I actually played it over a year ago, as I mentioned in my previous video. It is incredibly powerful. And in fact, I found it even stronger today than when I tried it before. I had on pretty darn bad gear. Damage wasn't quite there, but I was actually very surprised at how strong defensively that it felt. Because it's a Hierophant, we're going Mind Over Matter, we're stacking our mana as much as possible. We're using Arcane Cloak to grant ourselves a lot of additional lightning damage, as well as become tankier. Primary defense is just scaling, both just life and then, figuring out proportionally how much mana we want to go for as well. Keep really high mana regen going. And then we use a single Divine Blessing. This is kind of a nice thing. It's a blessing that we don't have to resummon our auras when we die or anything like that, because we want to have our mana pool up. The more mana that we have, the more damage and tankier we are. So we don't have to worry about our auras or anything. We just pop right in. And because we have so much mana regen, we don't care about, reduced mana cost or anything like that. It doesn't matter. So what we're doing, Hierophant, we are stacking our mana, Mind Over Matter, all of that. And then it's all on a spell totem. We are using Stormburst. And Stormburst is a very interesting skill in that it scales with duration. So the way that Stormburst works is it will continually summon orbs of energy that will bounce around until the duration expires. And the orbs will just stay there bouncing. Kind of think of it like Toxic Rain a little bit, where the longer duration that you have, the more duration scaling that you have, the more orbs will be on the screen bouncing around, dealing damage. Very important is to get a Shaper Shield with +1 max number of totems. We also really like to use Decoy Totem linked to multiple totem support, which will allow you to have an additional extra totem beyond your regular totem limit. And yeah, this build, for how little I invested into it, felt incredibly good defensively. Offensively, it definitely needed a bit more. It did feel kind of lackluster to me, even being on a 6-link for how much I invested, but it was so strong defensively that I wasn't, and I know this is already a very nicely scaling skill. Stormburst is just really good. I do want to call out special attention to Titaniel. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. He is a creator that has been kind of the herald of totems in general, and particularly Stormburst totem. It is one of his specialties. I didn't follow a build guide or anything like that. I just kind of put it together from my memory. I have played this in the past, but I know that he is who people recommend as like the lord of totems. And I know he has very extensive content and resources. I'm sure he would love to help you out putting together the build. But for me, I forget every single time that I play one of these builds. It didn't really click with me. I didn't love it. The problem is, like I said in the last video, I'm just looking for those S tier league starters. I want SRS Guardian, I want Bone Shatter, I want even Toxic Rain, anything like that. The top end, Detonate Dead, my Frostblink Elementalist, something that gets to, I want to say like 3 million DPS on the first couple days of the league, at least by Sunday. I want to be at least like 3 million DPS, being able to absolutely, shred all tier 16 bosses and, you know, be able to do my Exarch and my Eater really, really easy. This build absolutely can do it with 0 investment off the ground, but the damage and the mapping, the problem with Stormburst especially, it has a ramp time. It has that duration. And so I had a duration of about 3.5 to 4 seconds. So it's going to take that long to reach your full damage potential. The area that the damage is happening is kind of inconsistent. It's going to start targeting where the enemies are. It's going to be jumping towards the enemies where it's being cast. It's not like a full blanket of damage. So you have that ramp time. You don't have a full blanket of damage. And so it's going to be kind of inconsistent. You just stand there, right? You just cast the totems. As you saw in the footage, that's basically all you do is, you know, you're just going to summon your totems and the damage will ramp up. So that didn't feel incredible to me. Like, why would I play this over, you know, Frostblink Ignite? So, I mean, we'll see. We're still looking for a new king of, you know, my favorite new league starter, but Frostblink is still there. Regardless, the nice bonus that we have is I took that shell, and the nice thing about doing a cast on crit shell or a spell totem shell is you can replace the skill gem with any other skill gem. And we did that today. So I'll put on screen right now the one that a lot of people are talking about and testing right now, including Pelstron, and I believe Titaniel as well is testing the skill. So check out those guys if you want to see them go more in depth about it. For me, this was just, I spent 1 hour playing around with it. You know, just a quick early impression. Those guys are going a lot deeper. I would be going deeper with it if I loved the skill, but again, I didn't fall in love with it. But next up, we have Ball Lightning of Static. So this is a really interesting Transfigured gem that, again, because of the League of being Magic Find and everything, people kind of didn't explore the Transfigured gems that much. It's a cooldown-based skill. It actually isn't an AoE skill or duration skill anymore. It has a little bit of AoE, but it's not in the same way. It basically casts arc at enemies. So it'll cast a Ball Lightning, and then it'll do arcing spells at enemies around it. It's kind of like an Orb of Storms, actually, is the way that you can think about it. But, you know, without all of the additional mechanic. It'll just kind of be repeatedly casting bolts of lightning at enemies. Really interesting, really solid damage, and the fact that you can have 3 of them down at a time makes it very powerful. I believe Pelstron's actually looking at it on a Saboteur doing traps. But I think anything doing traps, mines, or totems with this skill is going to be very, very effective. It does have a cooldown, but I didn't find that particularly annoying because it has 3 uses, and you won't, particularly putting down totems, you just put down your totems per screen and you're good to go. Very powerful skill. And then last up, I want to show you guys Lightning Conduit of the Heavens. This skill didn't have exceptional single target damage whatsoever, but it was really cool. But in terms of clear, it was exceptional. I actually really, really liked it, and I want to explore it a little bit more. I actually wonder if there's something here with self-casting or maybe mines even that is pretty cracked. Lightning Conduit of the Heavens, it has 270 effectiveness of added damage, which is pretty solid. Then it has a very solid amount of lightning damage, and it just hits a bunch of enemies on the screen at once. So the key with this is regular Lightning Conduit technically has a lot more damage, but it requires you to shock the enemy first. This skill on its own is just a regular cast skill that hits up to 16 enemies at a time, which is usually most of the enemies on a screen. So as long as you have enough AoE scaling, it has a base radius of 4 meters, which is okay. As long as you have a decent amount of AoE scaling, it will hit pretty much the entire screen, and you can hit up to 16 enemies. And yeah, just walking around with totems, it felt like I was self-casting and just blowing everything up. I didn't really have particularly high damage scaling on this. I didn't really try to scale it that much. And I don't think this is really a single target type of skill, but in terms of just mapping and clear, it felt really, really nice. It was kind of in the same category of Hexblast. If you've played something like Hexblast Mines or even just Hexblast in general, it had that effect of just hitting everything in a big AoE in a targeted area. That is just kind of something that you don't find in a lot of AoE skills in this game. We usually rely on Chain Fork or like triggering off a cast on crit or something like that. And this just felt like, okay, I'm just boom, dropping a bunch of lightning. And it felt and looked really cool. Everyone in chat was like blowing up. Particularly when I was using the Automaton MTX. So yeah, that's it for me. Just a quick little recap on what we did on stream, the different skills that we tested out. There were a few others that I tried. I tossed in Arc of Surging. I wanted to do something with Cold Snap of Power, but unfortunately totems can't use anything with spending power charges. I actually forgot about that, so that didn't work. I think we're in a really exciting time right now. People slept on these Transfigured gems. There were a couple standout ones like Penance Brand that were clearly broken, but there's so much potential that was unexplored because of the broken gems. People are just going to use those and just going for Magic Find. And I think There's so many fun things, particularly with hopefully new transfigured gems coming out and a new announcement really soon. Oh yeah, and I didn't tell you guys yet, I will be at the March 18th Path of Exile 2 event in LA. If you have any questions that you want me to ask Jonathan and the GGG team about Path of Exile 2, let me know. I have a lot of stuff that I want to ask about, particularly what the end game is going to look like speed-wise. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, thanks for watching the video, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the subs and everything in the last video. The response to the last video was pretty wild, and yeah, really appreciate you guys. That's it for me today. I'm gonna stay on those daily uploads. You guys make sure I don't slip. we're gonna keep them coming, and yeah, I'll see you guys on stream soon. Goodbye.